What's going on, people? I have another triggering story, man. This country, okay? This country.
Eyewitness identification.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. This country is known for locking up innocent people, man. Innocent people. All right? Liberty and justice for all. Okay? But this story right here is not justice for all. Right? Missouri is trying to hold this wrongfully convicted man in prison. In prison. Listen to this story, and I'm going to come back with my commentary.
It's the most common cause of wrongful convictions in this country. It is the reason that this Missouri man, his name is Christopher Dunn, was convicted of a murder and sent to prison. Two men who claimed they saw Dunn shoot the victim 3 decades ago have admitted that they lied at trial. They were teenagers at the time. So here's the question. Why is Dunn still locked up? Erin Moriarty is here to explain. Erin, I can't wait to hear the answer to this question.
I know. I feel like I keep telling the same story about this bizarre quirk in Missouri law. If Dunn had been on death row, he'd be out by now. But he's serving life in prison without parole, which is kind of the same thing. But in Missouri, lifers aren't entitled to innocence claims, which leaves his fate in the hands of a prosecutor whose office put him behind bars in the first place.
I'm Chris.
Well, then that prosecutor needs to put him behind bars. Okay? That prosecutor needs to come out, okay? And he needs to bring this case back before the judge and let the judge know that this is an innocent man that we have rotting away in prison. And they need to release this man. Joe Biden and all of them needs to get involved with this case. The governor of Missouri, all of them. This is not justice. This is not liberty and justice for all. This is why the United States of America have so many innocent people in prison. Okay? The Exonerations Project is constantly freeing innocent people from prison. This should be an outrage. This is an outcry. It should be. This man is sitting in prison for something that he did not do, and the prosecutor and everybody knows he didn't do it, and they won't try to get him out. And people just continue on with their day. How do these people sleep at night? I could not be a prosecutor knowing that somebody is in prison for a crime that they did not do. It goes to show that these people have raggedy, maggot-infested, doodle-filled, vomit, puke hearts. That's what it shows. Let's keep it moving.
For Dunn, an innocent man who's been in prison for a crime in which I didn't commit, who's afraid that I may die in prison.
51-year-old Christopher Dunn says he's running out of time. He's had 3 heart attacks since he was incarcerated more than 33 years ago.
I'm still trying to figure out what is justice.
33 years in prison for a crime you did not commit, man. Imagine that. That's probably what gave him the heart. Oh, God.
In Missouri.
A shot in the dark just after midnight on May 19, 1990, killed 15-year-old Rico Rogers and put 18-year-old Christopher Dunn behind bars. Dunn says he was home with his mother and sister at the time.
I couldn't tell you who Rico Rogers was to save my life.
Had you ever met him? Did you
Never
know?
met him.
But 2 other teens with Rogers, Michael Davis, then 12 years old, and 14-year-old Demoris Stepp, told police the shooter was Dunn. Did Rico tell people he had fought with you?
I heard the witness say this, but the thing is, I wasn't the person that he had to fight with.
While there was no evidence to support the teen's claim, Dunn's public defender urged him to take a deal.
She wanted me to plead guilty for 10 years.
Why didn't you take the deal?
I didn't do the crime. I didn't do it, so why am I going to sit there and say that?
Innocent people, okay? I know we live in a society where it's like, oh, man, you know, I know I didn't do this, but let me just go on and take the deal, you know. But sometimes people would like to fight for themselves, okay? People would like to fight for themselves, especially if they are innocent. If you're being accused of killing someone or doing something to someone and you know that you did not do it, and then you got some public defender in your face saying, hey, just take 10 years. What? Huh? What do you mean just take 10 years? 10 years for what? For a crime that I did not do? And then you want me to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Liberty and justice for all. That's not justice. That's an injustice. That's a miscarriage of justice.
Dunn's trial in the summer of 1991 was over in a single afternoon. The prosecution presented no motive, no weapon, no physical evidence, just the two teenage witnesses.
They never had nothing. Only thing that linked me to this crime was the testimony of these two little guys.
And when it was the defense's turn,
My lawyer never called no witnesses, not even my family, to testify for me. I went to trial without a defense, without technical.
Yeah, because the public defender was probably screwing the prosecutor. Okay. The public defender was probably going out to dinner with the prosecutor right after the case. Okay. See, these people know each other. That's why a lot of people opt to bring in independent prosecutors and, independent people that's separate of these entities because they have no allegiance to them. Okay. That's why sometimes, when cops are involved in killings or anybody, sometimes the families opt to bring in independent medical examiners, independent people to perform autopsies, because a lot of people who perform autopsies be hooked in with those prosecutors and hooked in with the cops and things like that. Okay. And they don't want to come back and say, hey, this person died from the chokehold from the police officer. They rather come back and say, hey, this person died from asthma. Okay, it wasn't the chokehold, it was asthma, because they got to go have they got to meet the cop at Starbucks the next day. They got to go have their routine dinner, okay, at Noodles and Company.
A lawyer.
the jury was back in less than 45 minutes. Guilty.
It was like my world just fell in front of me. I didn't see anything else but darkness.
8 years later, Kira Kaywood, a writer and editor for a magazine called Justice Denied, looked at Dunn's case and was troubled by the original witness statements.
Their testimonies didn't match, but by the time they got to court, everything matched. And so it was clear to me, reading it, that these young men seemed to have been coached.
Her article was published in 2000.
It felt like hope. It felt like hope for the first time.
And then in 2005, Dunn got a surprise in the mail, a signed and sworn affidavit from one of those teens, DeMaurice Stepp. Dunn was not the shooter, Stepp wrote. Stepp said that he had been facing serious charges of his own and got a deal in return for his testimony. I lied on Chris Dunn to save myself.
He admitted that he lied. And I felt like a kid in the candy store. I felt like it was Christmas all over again.
Kira Kaywood then hired an investigator to find the other witness, Michael Davis. And how difficult was it to find Michael Davis?
With that name, it's like John Smith, all right?
You could have just walked away. Why didn't you?
Well, I was there because I believed in his innocence, and I couldn't, in good conscience, turn my back on someone in that situation.
And
Did you hear that? Okay. And this should be the same for prosecutors, for public defender. This should be the same for people who are really in their job field who are really in it for the work, who are really in it to do the right thing. See, a person with a good heart, a person who knows God, a person with a good conscience could not convict somebody for a crime that he or she did not do. These people do that all the time and go home, go to sleep, have sex, eat, laugh with their family, play in the front yard, giggle, laugh, go out and knowing that they just convicted somebody wrongfully. What kind of person is that? That's a person with a rotten heart. That's a demon.
Wood's interest in the case by then, she says, had become very personal.
We got married right here in this visiting room. Held hands in the presence of my mother and my sister Dolores.
This is a man who could spend the rest of his life in prison, and you choose to marry him. You may never get a chance to live with him.
That's true.
I'm going to show you how you can become a published author in the next 90 days, even if you've never...
You never get a chance to live with him.
That's true.
It took nearly a decade to find the other witness, Michael Davis.
I didn't see no shots. Okay. We ran.
Davis, then in jail in California, admitted to an investigator that he too lied at Dunn's trial.
Did we see Dunn do it? No. Okay. No, nobody seen Dunn do it.
You thought at that point, Chris is gonna come out.
Everybody lying, ain't they? Everybody got some lies to tell. Well, we got some show enough lies to tell. We gon' tell some lies today.
Oh yeah, we were ecstatic.
But it never happened. In September 2020, after a post-conviction hearing, a judge ruled this court does not believe that any jury would now convict Dunn under these facts. But the judge also said that under Missouri law, he couldn't free Dunn because he's not on death row.
He thought
Then change the law.
that no juror would convict Chris, which means that's synonymous with innocence, right? And he sits in prison. It's like a gaping hole in Missouri jurisprudence.
Justin Bonus, a New York attorney, is now working with the Midwest Innocence Project to get Dunn out.
He sits in there. He won and he lost at the same time.
Under Missouri law, this is the only person who can at this point ask a court to vacate Dunn's conviction.
Oh, Lord.
The St. Louis Circuit Attorney, Gabriel Gore. Aren't you, in fact, Christopher Dunn's best hope, if not his last hope, for ever getting out of prison, as it stands right now?
I do. I agree with that. You know, it's this country is kind of built on the premise that, you know, better that a guilty man go free than that an innocent man be convicted. So, of course, that's something that concerns me.
Well, right now, my life is in his hands. And all I'm asking you now is to give me a fresh shake.
So the circuit attorney is reviewing Dunn's case,
Give me a fair shake. Brother, you would done. Yeah. I guess that would be the right thing to say. Give me a fair shake, because you were done unfairly from the very beginning. You were done unfairly from the very beginning. You even being convicted in that situation with no evidence pointing towards you was unfair. Just imagine how many innocent people are in prison. And they are in there because they are exonerated enough to show that innocent people are in prison. But innocent people are in prison. Innocent people are in prison. That should bother every law-abiding person who just wants to live life, okay? Because at the blink of an eye, you can be framed for something, okay? Or somebody can point to you and say you did something. And next thing you know, your life is turned upside down. You're sitting in prison for a crime that you did not do. That alone would give you 3 heart attacks. In a country that claims to be so full of justice for all and everybody.
been reviewing for the last 5 months and says he hopes to have a decision by the end of the year. Even if, I should point out, if he decides to file and ask to have it vacated, the Attorney General's office is going to fight it. They've opposed every attempt Dunn has had to get out. So we're not talking about an immediate...
Oh my God.
Because of
my
the
blood,
protocol
my
law.
blood is boiling, Aaron. My blood is boiling. I mean, you just did this report in less than 3 minutes. You said they've been looking at the case for 5 months.
Yeah.
You have 2 people that admit that he lied. They lied about this. And he wasn't even there.
I know. I read the entire trial transcript.
Yes.
Aren't you really impressed? It took me 1 hour.
Yes.
That's how long it took. And that included the voir dire. It was 90 pages long. It was over in an afternoon. That was the only evidence, these 2 kids. And can I also make you mad?
Yeah.
When Michael Davis said he thought he saw Chris Dunn, what he really said, when I read the police reports, he said, I saw his sunglasses. We're talking midnight. Midnight. He saw Chris Dunn's on sunglasses.
But he wasn't there, so maybe Justin Bonus, we're very familiar with him. We've seen the work he can do. He's a badass.
And the Midwest
Will this
Innocence
change?
Project.
Can he help with this?
Well, no, actually, it's got to be Gabriel Gore, the circuit attorney who decides whether he's going to file to ask to have this conviction.
And what is Gabriel Gore? I know you.
Man, put that pressure on Gabriel Gore. Put that pressure on Gabriel Gore. Okay? Everybody in Missouri needs to put the pressure on Gabriel Gore. All right? Make that man do the right thing, man.
This interview, and what does he say he's working on now? Because
Well,
everybody goes on with their life. We're planning.
Well, no, he actually did. He
guy's
assigned
sitting
a
in
judge.
prison.
There's a retired judge.
Yes.
And he has been reviewing this case. I'm not quite sure why it takes so long. And then what they'll do before the end of the year, according to the circuit attorney, is announce whether they're going to ask to have it overturned.
And in the meantime, he sits there.
Yeah, right. It's a very casual attitude for when you're not the one in jail for all those years.
Yeah, very, very casual, you know. He's sitting there. Let's see if we can go back to him. Let's see. Here we go right here. Where he at? Wait, yeah, here you go right here. Yeah, this dude right here.
Court to vacate Dunn's conviction. The St. Louis Circuit Attorney, Gabriel Gore. Aren't you, in fact, Christopher Dunn's best hope, if not his last hope, for ever getting out of prison, as it stands right now?
I do. I agree with that. This country is kind of built on the premise that, better that a guilty man go free than that
This country is kind of built on the premise. It's kind of built on the premise. I guess he kind of right, because there's a lot of innocent folks in prison. All right? It's a lot of innocent folks in prison. This is atrocious, man. This makes me want to vomit, okay? Just looking at this entire case makes me want to throw up, spit up slime balls, okay? It do. It's a disgusting, evil, demonic, atrocious case. All right. Dunn should not be in prison. He should be exonerated immediately. And everybody else who's in prison wrongfully. Okay? Get the right people. Lock up the right folks. Since y'all swear y'all so bright. Okay? Get the right folks, man. Get these innocent people out of prison and give these people their lives back. This is a disgusting case. Atrocious. I'm upset by this case. Just sitting there casually just, yeah, this man is in jail wrongfully. And yes, I know I am his only hope. I know it kind of bothers me, but what are we doing? What are we doing, man? Some of these people are walking dead, man. They're zombies. Seriously, man. May God rain down fury on some of these people, man. Open up the ground on them. I'm gone.